morning. My name is Jagmohan Banwar, and I'm going to be discussing employee engagement with you today. Employee engagement as a concept came up sometime in the 1920s, and not surprisingly, it came up in the US because they were perhaps one of the first people to start identifying certain principles in management that could then be used for greater efficacy. Interestingly though, the concept of employee engagement did not originate in the corporate world. It originated in the United States Army. As the story goes, most of the Army generals were very curious to see how their soldiers and some of their officers would react to battle and how battle ready or battle prepared they would be. One of the things that they realized for their soldiers to be battle ready was how motivated and how involved they were in the entire process of war. Now, that's not something that we see too often in the corporate world, but the basic principles remain the same. So, for instance, how involved or motivated are your employees will probably decide how successful the organization is going to be. In the Army, the results are very immediate. So if the people are not involved, you would probably know by the end of the day exactly where you stand or do not stand. In the corporate world, it takes a little longer. So you might take maybe a quarter, 2 quarters, maybe a year to know how your employees' engagement levels are actually affecting the success of the organization. So what we're going to try and do here today in this rather brief session is to cover some of the broad elements of employee engagement and see what we can do with some of these elements. Right, so let's start with the basics of employee engagement. Why would an organization want people to be engaged? And before that, exactly what does employee engagement mean? Engaging is a key word here. So when you say that a person is engaged to somebody else, what you are really saying is how involved you really are with the other person. So employee engagement, therefore, is really about how involved the employees are with the organization. The extent of the positive or negative emotion that the employee has towards the organization. So if there is a high degree of positive emotion towards the organization, the employee is also perhaps going to be more motivated to do things in a far more productive manner. The reverse is also true. Now that we've covered what employee engagement is, let's try and see what some of the elements in employee engagement are. So let's start putting this down over here. So employee engagement results in high productivity. Now, how is high productivity going to happen? It's going to happen basis the results that the employee would generate. So we say that high productivity is coming out as a result of the results that the individual employee would generate. How do you measure the results? Basis that individual employees' behavior. So what we're really saying is for employee engagement to translate into high productivity for the organization probably needs to impact the individual's behavior. So far, so good. Now, how do we impact the individual's behavior is captured beautifully in a model called the Mars model. If I were to put down the acronym, it would be somewhat like this. So what does M stand for? M stands for motivation. That's a fairly well understood and visible word today. A, on the other hand, stands for ability. R stands for role, perception, and S is actually what I call the question mark, because you don't know what S is. S is situational factors. Situational factors means factors that could keep on changing. So today, you have a bunch of highly motivated employees who have the requisite ability and understand what their role is. But the situation in the market changes, and suddenly you have a situation where you realize, well, despite motivated employees, the situation is still not conducive to getting the desired results.